Today I'm going to do a tag by Ariel from A Cup of Books. This is her original tag. It's the classic book title tag. She just joined BookTube. She's been on Bookstagram for a while. She's been in the community for a long time, but she just started a BookTube account. So go check her out. She's awesome. She was in the live stream with Leslie and I talking about The Mask of Mirrors, and that's how I met her, and she's fantastic. And I'm excited to do this tag, so we're just going to go into it. The premise is classic book title with a prompt, and I answer the prompt. I actually sort of prepared for once, so let's go. 1. A Tale of Two Cities. What two fictional cities or places would you have a hard time choosing between if you were told you would get to move there? So for this one, I took a more negative approach because I don't read a lot of places I want to go. I'm very comfortable where I am. I have lived on the same latitude my whole life. I've moved from Cleveland to Boston, but it's the same latitude, same 4 seasons. It's what I like. I don't want to move to other places. I don't want to deal with what comes with magic and futuristic technology in my sci-fi books. I like it right here. So I chose 2 negative places that it would be hard to choose between. One is the Witcher series. This is a medieval Europe world, so on one hand, very little technology. I like places that would have indoor plumbing. That does not exist here. It's also, just not a great place to be alive. When you're reading the series, it's not good. The chances of you being, physically assaulted or sexually assaulted, any of those things, super high. There's also a lot of war, there's a lot of rebellion. It's not a safe place. And it has no technology. So, yeah, I don't like that. I don't want to go, into the past. And I don't want to go into the past when it's that, stressful. The other one I chose is The Stars Are Legion, which is future. It's gross. Everything about this book is gross. The world is very squishy. There's nothing, inorganic. Everything's organically made. So everything is squishy. There's, a lot of, planet fluid, and there's a lack of agency over your body in terms of what it can do. So that's not ideal. So although that one has plumbing, I'd be able to use the bathroom in some sort of comfort, I am really grossed out by it. So it would be really hard actually for me to choose between these 2, and I don't have an answer, but I don't think that was the point. I picked 2 worlds that I equally don't want to go to for different reasons. Number 2, Les Mis. What book made you miserable? I don't cry, I don't yell or throw things across the room, but this one will be Shuggie Bane, because it did make me miserable. Talked about this a lot in the month that I read it, which was, I believe, May. It's definitely a book that just triggered me, and I guess that means it handled what it was talking about realistically, but it's not what I wanted. This has a lot of triggering content depending, on your background, so just know that's kind of the point of the book. There's a lot of trauma, and the trauma comes in many forms and sizes, so if you at all think you might be triggered, look up some content warnings, because, it might not even be that helpful. I think there's a content warning for everything. I'm not even kidding. When I was reading each chapter of that book, I was like, oh, trigger warning for this. I could have made very long lists for each individual chapter. So just know that. That's the type of book it is. It's very, 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 very dark and depressing, pulls a lot from the author's own life experiences. Book was a lot, and it made me miserable because of my life experiences, and that's what we'll say about that. Number 3, Frankenstein. Who is your favorite villain who is maybe just misunderstood? This one was also very easy for me. This is Kenneth from the Live Ship Traders series. I have not read Ship of Destiny. I've only read the first 2 books. And he's definitely, not a good guy. He's definitely manipulative. But, also there's stuff we don't understand about him, and his thought process is so different. And, maybe he's not misunderstood. Maybe he is exactly who we think he is. He's just out for himself. He's just manipulative. He just wants to be in charge. But also, there's just more to him. There's more. I want to understand. Because, honestly, right now, of all of the forces in the book, he is not my main concern. As far as I'm concerned right now, he is above board. He is more moral than a lot of my morally good people, so he's a fascinating villain to follow. Number 4, Pride and Prejudice. Which characters from fiction make up your favorite romantic relationship? So when I was thinking of answers, I realized I don't have many answers, and the one that I do have is a spoiler, so I'm not going to talk about that one. And I don't know, I don't read many romance books, so it's like hard to like talk about one that's like, it's not a spoiler, because I guess when you talk about romance books, it's about the journey, not the destination, sort of thing. So the one I'll talk about is the main romance in The Best of All Possible Worlds. I just really like them. I really loved the slow burn nature of that romance. And I just think that they are both really good individuals who like bring out the best in each other. I really like that. I'm a big fan at this point in my life of really nice, healthy relationships where you really just add to each other. Like, that's just my thing. So like the other one I was thinking of is also an example of a very healthy relationship that really helps you. It doesn't like fix you. Like, these relationships in my head are not like solutions to any mental health problems or any trauma, but they also aren't detrimental and aren't causing their own source of trauma, sort of thing. So those are the relationships I really like. Number 5, Lady Chatterley's Lover. What book has your favorite hot and bothered steamy scene? Again, don't read a lot of romance, so I didn't have a large pool to choose from, but I think it's pretty obvious, at least if you know me and what little fantasy romance I've consumed. This is A Court of Mist and Fury. There are a few scenes in here that I do like. For those reasons, that they're like steamy. Like, I think Sarah J Maas is actually probably, if you talk to romance readers, like on the lower end of steamy, but like if you don't read like romance or erotica, it's like the higher end of steamy, if that makes sense. And in A Court of Mist and Fury, there are some scenes I really like, because I think she does a good job of like the steamy scenes, but like before you commit to the act and all of that. Like, I don't know, I like all the tension that she builds up when she chooses to do that. That was also like really well done in A Court of Silver Flames, but I don't remember any individual scene in that book. I remember a very specific scene in A Court of Mist and Fury that I really liked. Number 6, The Count of Monte Cristo, your favorite revenge story. I traditionally don't like revenge stories. Not because they're not good, but because somehow the way people tend to write them make their characters very tunnel visioned. And sometimes I don't like to follow a tunnel vision character. It's just a thing. But the one that I have liked is the Red Rising series. Your main character, Darrow, when he's starting off that series, it is in revenge. That's what drives him. And I don't mind it for that one, mainly because, like, I think he's a relatively intelligent character who, like, his tunnel vision also doesn't prevent him from adapting. I think he's an adaptable character, from what I can remember. I read this series, like, 3 years ago. But I think that's the one that I have to use, because I couldn't think of any other revenge stories, because I just actively don't read them. 7, Kindred. In your opinion, what is a book that handles emotional stakes best? There are so many. Recently, books that I read that I think did this fantastically, The Unbroken and The Jasmine Throne. I have reviews for both, and both of those I love because there were emotional stakes that I thought were handled, like, super well. Similarly, a book I read earlier this year, A Desolation Called Peace, also handled that really well. Like, I like all 3 of these books because they are incredibly messy. Like, we are in a messy human situations. We have flawed humans interacting with each other, and there's just messy plot and politics around them. And, like, I think they have pretty high emotional stakes. At least when I think of emotional stakes, those were my instincts. I think once I was answering this question, having high emotional stakes is part of what can make a book a favorite for me, which is something interesting I just learned while doing this tag, so thanks, Ariel. 8, And Then There Were None. What mystery or thriller is your favorite? This is not a genre I read much, and I think most of the time I like this in the visual media more than the reading, like, media. But I did write down some stuff, and I don't know which one to pick. So, like, my instinct is Kindred, which was the book for the previous question, because Kindred is a book I could not put down. It was thrilling. At like 2 days was done. Like, it does that thing where it starts with a prologue that's like the end of the story, and I'm like, how do I get here? How did this happen? And to think that was her debut is just like mind-blowing. Most recently, a thriller that I couldn't put down, also by Octavia Butler, was Clay's Ark. This was more of a sci-fi thriller. Now, mystery thriller, I don't really have one of those. So I think those two. So Octavia Butler is just like, when she chooses to write a thrilling plot, like, she's the one who gets me. Like, I read a more traditional thriller recently, like one that's a standard sci-fi thriller, Dark Matter, that just, like, did not thrill me. I was not, like, I mean, I read it quickly, but I like wasn't excited to be reading it. I wasn't thrilled. There was no suspense, not like with Clay's Ark or Kindred. Number 9, The Jungle Book. Who or what is your favorite animal sidekick? This was oddly hard, even though I do love animal companions, but like my brain was just drawing a blank when I was preparing this list, so I'm going with Pet from Akwaeke Emezi, which the animal companion is Pet. He is really interesting. So the premise of this story is you have a young teenage girl. Her mom has a painting. She accidentally brings the painting to life, and it's Pet, and Pet's a monster hunter, and this is a place where the idea of monsters don't exist anymore. It's a perfect utopia, and I just like how adamant Pet is that we must hunt monsters, and the relationship this big, weird monster creature has with this teenage girl is fantastic. So I really like that story. It was one of the ones that stole my heart last summer, so I highly recommend it. Number 10, Rebecca. Manderley is a vivid and integral part of the story that feels like another character. What is a book that has a vivid setting that is so real you feel like you are there when you read it? I noticed when putting my list together that all of my responses have to do with winter. We've got The Great Alone, The Innocents, and the Winter Night Trilogy. So apparently if you write a very good atmospheric winter book, I feel like I'm there. Specifically, like how cold it gets. Like all of these books were very good at making the setting a character and making me feel very cold. They're all also kind of have hints of survival in their stories, which I think is also an element that makes me feel like I'm there. But yeah, like all these books have portions that take place in winter and it's very cold. And like that's what I always remember. It's just like I could feel it. Like I could feel my need for a blanket while I read these stories. 11, Call of Cthulhu. What is your favorite horror story that you're glad isn't real? I don't read a lot of horror. I mean, if we're talking like movies, I don't like Mars Attack. I was just talking about this in my Discord. But in terms of books, so I read, I think, 3 horror stories, maybe 4 if you include a lot of my Edgar Allan Poe reading. But I think Ariel used Edgar Allan Poe and probably the story I would have used. So I think the one I'm going to go with is I Am Legend, which is like a classic sci-fi horror. Mainly because I'm glad we don't live in that post-apocalyptic situation. Like, it's not ideal. So I think that's the one I have to go with because my other horror stories, like, are very situational and aren't, like, I don't know. They're very specific scenarios is the best way I can put them. So I think it's I Am Legend. I really don't read a lot of horror. I kind of want to change that, but it's, like, baby steps. Still just very, like, gently going into that genre. And the last one is The Fellowship of the Ring, Tag People, which I think is a cute way of saying tag people. And I want to tag Kayla from Crack Into a Good Book, Carrie from Louise Reads, and Amber from Books of Amber. These are a bunch of, like, my friends from the Space Sirens Book Club, so I thought it would be fun to tag them and see their responses. And that's it for this one. For your emoji, I don't leave a book because this is all about classic book titles, so like the singular book emoji. And if you want to like leave a comment, you can tell me your favorite classic story. I would love to hear that, or any of your answers to parts of this tag. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.